Don't worry about, what comes later. Don't worry about the drafts. Don't worry about getting an agent or a publisher. Just do your first part first, and everything else will fall into place.
You are now listening to the highlight reel builder for authors, the Going North podcast. I'm your host, best-selling author, and Maxwell Leadership Certified Trainer, DomBrightmon. And you're going to be getting some tips and techniques to advance yourself coming up next. Today's episode is sponsored by both books, Going North, Tips and Techniques to Advance Yourself, and the follow-up bestseller, Stay the Course, The Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. Head over to Amazon.com, pick up both books. They are available in a trifecta of paperback, audio, and ebook. Cop all three of both and be on the lookout for another book from yours truly to help podcasters succeed. Now let's get on with today's episode. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, baby. It's the Going North podcast. And we're back at you again with another super special, awesome human in the building, baby. That's right, indeed. Courtesy of my good buddy, Mr. Eminem, who we metaphorically kidnapped from Canada. We took his maple syrup and said, get that out of here. Here's a freaking steak. Come on down to Texas. And we kidnapped him. He's got the good old USA love inside of him now. He's hooked me up with this super special, awesome guest because not only is today's guest a best-selling author, they're also an award-winning author, baby. So more blue ribbons than the bread, baby. He's a father as well as a husband and even has a wonderful background in screenwriting. So let's give it up for the good old JR himself, Jerry Roth. How you doing today, Jerry?
Hey, how you doing? Thank you so much for having me on your show. I am excited to be here.
Woohoo! That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Excited as mutual, my man. That's right, indeed. You're probably one of the few horror. I think you're probably maybe one other horror writer on the podcast. Maybe one other one. I think, but yeah, I think you're the first.
Really? Okay. I gotta really try to maybe scare the audience or something. Bring something different to it. And so that's exciting.
Yeah, that's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. But hey, it ain't all about scary. But then again, I know what's scary is the fact that bios and intros aren't allowed to be 150 days long, and I probably only covered, I guess, a half a day's worth of content about the wonderful Jerry himself. So am I filling in any cavities I may have missed about your man since it's your first time on the show?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in Ohio, which is kind of, it's one of those kind of places where you got a little of everything. You have the city, you have the country, you have, the cold weather, which you have where you're at too. So I kind of grew up like a lot of kids. I was a child of the 80s. So I liked watching, I loved all the scary movies, the 80 movies, the Goonies, anything pop culture from the 80s. I was in love with, and I was one of those kids that couldn't get enough of that kind of thing, the media. Going to Blockbuster and praying that movie is behind that, that little plastic piece. And when it was, I was in heaven, so that was kind of my early years of kind of growing up and doing the, living that 80s lifestyle. And then I decided, at an early age that I wanted to be a writer, not just a writer, but I wanted to really scare people, which, you gotta wonder about people like that who want to really scare people. But I did. I, at an early age, I wanted to try to frighten you. So, a couple side turns ahead. I started out my career as a screenwriter. I wrote a couple screenplays and even won some awards with it. But something in the screenplays, if you know anything about them, they're really bare bones and you don't get to really flourish. And you tell a whole story, you say location, you kind of set up a scene. But I wanted to actually, go into every detail and really, kind of show an atmosphere to a story. So I kind of moved away from screenplays. It took my first college class in the early 90s. And it's funny enough, one of the first stories that I ever wrote for college was a creative endeavor. My teacher said, write whatever you want. And one of that story actually ended up in a book that I had published this year from Bridget's Gate Press. So that's crazy. I never thought that was going to happen. And I got to look back and see, did my teacher give me a good grade? Because I'm gonna find out if she did or not. I'm like, listen, it's been published. You better have got me a good grade.
That's what I'm talking about indeed, especially since the publishing company picked it up. Like, hey, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, she didn't know she was great in the future. That's what I'm talking about indeed. That's what I'm talking about indeed. So growing up wasn't to scare people, man. So what the pranks you were playing on people, man? I'm pretty sure you played some pranks on somebody.
Oh, kid from the '80s, everything revolved around that telephone, that landline they call it nowadays. But back then, everything about was pranking somebody, doing, you know, messing with somebody. Like, they made it famous in The Simpsons with Bart Simpson wanting to prank people. That's what we did around town was get people on a line and kind of mess with them as long as we could, keep them on a line. That was our enjoyment. But yeah, I mean, prank wise, that was probably the worst. I've done a few pranks to teachers, to substitute teachers. I remember once we had a substitute teacher and we were feeling extra frisky. So we took all of his planners and pencils, everything that he had, and we taped him to the ceiling when he went out of the room for the bathroom. So he came back to find everything upside down in the room. So we kind of dodged a bullet by not getting suspended for that one.
That was gold. It's like, man,
Yeah.
how, y'all must have you must have been gone for a long time, and y'all must have had a secret ladder or something to be able to stick everything on the ceiling.
Yeah, I remember. I think me and my friend may have stood on top of his desk to accomplish it, but I won't swear to
I got you. I got you. G-Force ain't classified. I got you.
that.
My goodness, man. So having that wonderful story graded back in the day, now it's
Mhm.
a freaking book, and to really loving to scare people growing up where it's like, now I'm in
Right.
the business of immortality, of scaring you from beyond the grave when that fateful day comes decades and decades from now, man. So how does it feel to be a published writer, let alone a best-selling and award-winning one, no less?
But it's kind of even since I was a kid, it's a dream come true to actually take my words and something from my imagination and put it onto paper. I mean, it's almost like magic. It's the closest thing to magic I'll ever do in my life. Dreams can create it, or something weird I see on TV. Anything can, be my inspiration, and just be able to actually put it on paper and let people read it and get involved with it. And then, sometimes I get messages from people saying they want to read my books 2 or 3 times. And I'm like, I feel more than blessed to be and excited that people would even dare to read my things instead of, and be called their favorites. So there's nothing better in my life so far than just to be able to kind of share my love with other people.
So I'm talking about days, sharing that love. Indeed, you love to say it indeed. So, my goodness, so growing up wanting to scare people writing in horror, do you think you might explore any other genres in the future since you got a couple books under your belt now under horror?
I do, yeah. I'm actually thinking about maybe shopping around a fantasy. I don't know if you like fantasy or fantasy stories, but it's kind of my first endeavor of kind of a young adult but fantasy, where things aren't necessarily what they seem. I've kind of been trying to kind of branch out of just horror, but I love every genre. So if I'm blessed enough to get one of my new books published. I also thinking about doing a young adult, maybe a middle grade, something spooky. I always like to keep something spooky, even if I change genres. I like to keep something a little creepy and spooky, so it has some atmosphere, maybe a little bit of bite, even if it's for a younger audience. So we'll see. I hope that I can maybe find some new readers and some new people to get involved with.
Woohoo! That's what I'm talking about right there. That's right indeed. Success is certain. That's right indeed. Success is certain. 'Cause, hey, folks need those distractions, and reading is still in chic. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. No matter what form it is. That's right
Yeah.
indeed. That's right indeed. Heck, even if they get scared and have to pull off on the side of the road, like, ah, no, the Ouija board got too real.
Oh, that would be great.
So my goodness, man. So that's freaking amazing indeed. So any advice for any fellow writers out there, especially those looking to add some, I guess, get some wins under their belt? Because my goodness, you're able to do both. Because in, I believe, 2022, one of your books won an award this year too as one of the Indies finest. I forgot the exact name of it.
Yeah, it was actually named the one of the top 10 most impressive indie books out there. So that was like, that was very humbling to me that people would even put me in that category with so many great writers that were involved with it. When people ask me, what kind of advice do I have for, other writers or people who are aspiring to be an author, I always tell them that, that you don't have to be perfect. You can, whatever you get, to take the time, set up your time to write, put anything you have, put it on a paper. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have your first thing you write down isn't going to be perfect and you don't want it to be. But if you really just get it out on there, you worry about those drafts later. You get, some of those jewels that you come across are the first things that you put on the paper. And I tell people, don't worry about, what comes later. Don't worry about the drafts. Don't worry about getting an agent or a publisher. Just do your first part first, and everything else will fall into place.
So I'm talking about Deed. So I'm talking about Deed. That's right. The puzzle will be completed. Y'all will fall into place. Indeed. That's right. Indeed. And speaking of falling into place and getting everything at least to the finish button and publishing things, I know you're a husband and a dad. So my goodness, man. So how do you make time for writing, man?
It's kind of like anything else. My kids are a little older now; they're close to teenage years, so I have a little bit more free time. But you gotta just it's the late nights or early mornings. Those are like for vampires with kids. They don't like those two times, late nights and early mornings. So those are always the free moments that I have to kind of spread my wings and write. But yeah, you got to take those times when you can.
I love the analogy of the vampires for kids. It's like, oh no, it's too early. I gotta stay in the bed. Oh.
Uh-huh. You want to avoid some children? Just get up early.
It's like, no, sunlight. It's coming.
Oh, that's great.
That's what I'm talking about indeed. So my goodness, man, you've been on quite a few interviews recently promoting the good work that you're doing and encouraging other writers as well as promoting your work. So is there a question that you wish
Yeah.
folks would ask you more often when you're being interviewed?
But that's a good question. I haven't really thought of that one. I think the question that I would like people to ask is what drives you to keep creating these different characters? The characters are really like the backbone of my stories. You can have a great twist, you can have a scary atmosphere, but it's the characters that you have to bring to life in order for a book to work, and in order to get the reader involved as well. So, those are the things that I really spend a lot of time on, is getting that dialogue right, letting them talk. And after a while, early on when you're writing a book, the characters start to have a life of their own. They start to come alive and they do the talking, and I just sort of listen and write down what they say. So that's kind of the angle that I take when I write.
There you go. That's right. The characters taking over. That's right indeed. They got voices of their own. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. They're having meetings.
Hopefully not, AA meetings, but meetings.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're sober. If they're not, then hey, well, AA meetings, they are a thing and they help. So, yeah, they'll be fine. Oh man, but it ain't about batteries or being anonymous. It's about my man's wonderful book. So my goodness, the wonderful book to share, The Throwing Shadows, a dark collection. If that book were a food, what would it be and why?
Ooh, food. That would be creepy. I'm thinking because this one's so dark and scary, then it had to be something gross. I don't know. What do you find as a gross food? What food like says no, I won't eat you? Do you have one?
Oh man, definitely Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, Brussels sprouts. That'd be good. Something kind of nasty. I think something something to put you off or put you at keep you feeling unease. I think so. Yeah, that's where I would say that my book would be.
Oh yeah, heck, now to think about it, funny enough, a friend of mine, he likes to watch these videos where this guy would he's like a doomsday prepper, and he would taste
Yeah.
MREs from like decades ago. So it's like, you know what? Now to think about it, it could be one of those expired MREs.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I never thought of that. But I mean, I wonder how much different an expired one is from a regular one. I wonder if you could even tell the difference at some point. All that dry food.
Oh yeah. Yeah, apparently one time he found something from like 1908. He didn't eat that one though. He is smartened up on that one. He's like, I'm not gonna try
That
this one.
that that, that is great. Yeah, my that's funny because my house is built in 1908. So that's funny you say that.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. It used to be an old Catholic church, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's a little spooky, but it helps me get all of my inspiration for these horror novels.
Oh, so that's how y'all living there. All right. He's like, Daddy needs inspiration. We're not scaring him enough anymore. Let's get an old Catholic church.
Absolutely.
That's right. Where the priest is wearing a black robe instead of a white one.
Right. Yeah, we have to order the priest to come once a week to bless the house, keep us safe.
That's right. Just like Brinks.
Yeah.
So my goodness, man, my goodness. So with all this wonderful knowledge, man, there's probably been some setbacks along the way on your journey to finally embracing your dreams today, man. So any setbacks on your journey to finally becoming a published author that you're able to topple and become a success by finally publishing your books, my man?
Yeah, I mean, I think early on, I sort of chose to have a family first. I did a career and a family, and actually came to trying to publish late in life. I actually got my first debut book, Bottom Feeders. I got it published in 2020, which is obviously an odd time to have a book come out. The pandemic hit, and I'm stuck in my house, and my book is out in the world, and I can't really enjoy it like I want. But there were many years before I ever was able to publish that. You know, I dreamed of being an author and wanted it, and I think I could have easily let the dream go and just moved on to something new. But I circled back around, and I think that if you have a passion for something, no matter what it is, if you make sure that you return to what you really love and pursue it, you're going to find success.
Heck yeah. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So that means my man's one of them book boomers, baby. That's right indeed. That's right. That's right. Them 1900s, though, was about the baby boomers. Nah, millennium now, it's about the book boomers.
Yeah,
That's
for
right
real.
indeed. Trapped in the house, write a book. That's right indeed. That's right indeed.
Absolutely.
I guess some more ways than one with all the puns intended is with that one.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Oh man. Well, before another random corn cob appears, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive. And that is if you don't wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but you're still in 2023, what advice would you give to yourself?
I would say a few more salads and maybe a couple less pizzas. I would probably sit myself down and say, you know, be patient. It's all going to come to you. Don't have anxiety about what is going to be, because you're going to miss out on your day-to-day life if you do that. Accept for your future for what it's going to be, and be happy.
Oh, yeah. That's right indeed. Be happy. Eat more salad.
Oh,
That's right indeed. Bonus points you for find a salad pizza. That's right indeed. That's right indeed.
there you go. That'd be the best of both
Yeah,
worlds.
that's right indeed. I mean, hey, they got all these random options. Like, all right, cool. This is the manifesting they must be talking about in the new age space, right?
Right.
Well, I know my man's looking to manifest more readers, and my man needs more readers. We all need more readers, and those need to not only read but keep up with your journey. So, for those who need to start on that journey and continue on it, what's the best way for folks to do so?
Yeah, I think if you want to get a hold of me or read one of my books, you can go to my website at jerryrothauthor.com. I'll even sign a book for you, no problem. Get on Amazon or go to one of my publishers. Bridget's Gates Press or Sunbury Press. And yeah, I'd love you to join my family and read my books and tell your friends.
Oh, well, there you have it, folks. I'm going to put a link to all that wonderful good stuff in the show notes. Head over to Jerry's site, indeed. Cop one of those autograph books. Scare your pants off. That's right, indeed. And if your pants are already off, well, then scare your skin off. I'm telling you. That's right. There you go. That's right, indeed. A new visual for one of his future novels.
Oh.
It's like, no, thought going to the nudist beach was a good idea. No, it was all old people. No, it was the real horror story. No.
Yeah, that'll scare you.
Oh man. Well, before any more rabbit holes appear, any party horse before we close up shop, my man.
Yeah, listen, thank you so much for having me on your show. You were amazing. I had a blast. And if you're interested in getting my new novel, Throwing Shadows, a Dark Collection, feel free. And I'm so excited to meet all these your new people. So stop in and say hi to me.
Thanks a bunch for investing your time by listening to this wonderful podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you really did, do me a solid and leave a review or share this episode with at least 3 people that you think would get some value out of today's content. Advance others to advance yourself.